Bear says that 4 staffers were waving at him, signaling to him that the interview must stop. Does this surprise any of us? Joining us now for reaction to Kamala's disastrous Fox News performance yesterday is Long Island's own Kevin Smith, host of the Loud Majority podcast. Kevin, I trust you to react to this with no filters. And man, I would not want to be on Kamala's team after yesterday.
I mean, it was like watching a car accident in slow motion. It kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then she started yelling for some reason. It was so bad, but it shows you her desperation. She doesn't go on Fox News unless she's desperate. She's desperate for voters. And the fact is, Fox News has the largest cable audience. That's why she went on. She wouldn't be floating doing Joe Rogan, or she wouldn't be going on with Bret Baier if she didn't need the votes. That's why Donald Trump is sitting back saying, I don't have to do 60 Minutes. I don't have to do the stuff that I don't want to do. Sure. Right now, Kamala Harris has to do them all.
Did Kamala okay, so given that calculation from her team and given that desperation, did they move the needle in a positive way for her by sitting down yesterday?
No, I'll be honest with you. I don't think, based on her prior interview performances, I don't think they thought it was going to be as bad as it was. But quite frankly, when Kamala Harris goes on The View and she goes on Howard Stern and she goes on Colbert, like, that's hitting T-ball. Yesterday she was hitting major league pitching, and she's just not ready for the majors. That's exactly what it looked like. Because Bret Baier, look, his questioning, it was aggressive, but it wasn't that tough. Like, she wasn't sitting down with me or podcasters or sitting down with you that's actually going to ask, like, real hard right-wing questions. She was asked about immigration.
And that's exactly why this was so shocking. You're right. I mean, Baier, he had to be tough on her, even by Baier's standards. But, you know, the questions he asked were entirely predictable. Mm-hmm. Not a single question he asked in that interview was a ambush. It was entirely predictable, and her team could have prepped her. They could have sat down the night before, pretending to be Bret Baier. It's not that hard. And just ask her the questions that everyone's been asking.
But that's the problem with people.
As she's been campaigning these last few months.
Yeah, that's the problem with people like Kamala Harris. Is she doesn't have one person on her staff who has the courage to go, look, Madam Vice President, for the next 2 hours, I'm not your friend. I'm not your employee. I'm going to question you the way Bret Baier is going to question you. He didn't throw anything out of left field. Mm-hmm. These were all policy debates.
Yeah, exactly.
He wasn't like, he didn't sit there and go, there's a story that your husband knocked up the nanny. There's a story that your husband may or may not have beat up his ex-girlfriend. Like, those would have been lowball questions that may or may not be true, but very much seem to be very likely to be true. But it was immigration, Joe Biden's mental acuity, trans surgeries on taxpayer dimes, like, topics we're all talking about. The fact that she couldn't answer these just shows you how unprepared she actually is, because she wasn't getting asked about whatever they talk about on Call Her Daddy.
Look, I think that this is a damning grade on her team, just as much as it is on her, because I've met these political consultant types. I've seen these people who get hired on to teams like this. And if you're competent, you sit down and you at least have a couple of people who are constantly thinking like the other side, stepping into the shoes of the opposition. And this interview, like I think you rightly point out, absolutely illustrates that she does not surround herself with the A-team.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.